And here we are again. It's time to meet a second aorist tense. We've met the first aorist, which has the augment, the stem with the sigma alpha, and then the slightly altered secondary ending. But today we're going to meet the second aorist, which has a very regular augment and ending, but a verb stem itself that is very, very unusual. Remember, please, the complete course available at potterschool.org and also sometimes offered at alts.edu, and always something good happening at Wittenberg Como for ColumbiaMissouri.com. Remember, there are two different aorists. They're interpreted both the same way as each other. They are a point of action, and that point of action is normally in the past, before now. So whether it's a first aorist or it's a second aorist, it's still going to refer to a point of action in the past. They're simply different verbs that form their past tense in a different way from each other. Here's the critical issue of the second aorist, and that is the stem change. The stem change in the second aorist is its big identifier. Sometimes the stem change is so significant you won't recognize it as the same verb that you met in the present tense. Oops, that was clumsy, wasn't it? All right, let's let's get an example for it. And that example I'm going to stick up here. Just at the last moment, I'm thinking on my feet, which means I'm stepping on your feet. We have this nice verb, Pharaoh I bring. I'm going to skip the future tense because it's really weird too. But here is the aorist tense. Enenka. Wait a minute. That doesn't even look like a normal secondary ending. It's probably the oddest aorist that you'll ever see. Here's another example. Remember our old friend Erchomai. And what's the aorist? What do you suppose it could be? It is Ilthon. Well, you wouldn't ever guess from that aorist tense that the present tense is what it is. You would never guess it. And so sometimes when you get into your reading, you want to look up in a vocabulary or in your lexicon, and you want to make maybe a list of aorists in order and associate them somehow with their present tense so that you can at least find which verb it comes from, because some of them will be really odd. Now, aside from the stem change, the second aorist is normally perfectly normal. Probably the exception to that is enenka, which has an oddball ending. But in general, they'll be very regular. They have an augment, they have a stem, and they have a secondary ending. But the stem is altered significantly. Here's what we memorized to be sure that we get the second aorist, active and middle indicative. Notice again, we've got our augment. We've got our altered stem. This is more like most of them. The verb lepo, I leave, in the second aorist becomes elepon. You see, that's not such a big stem change that you'd never recognize it. It's just going to be a little bit odd. And then it has a regular secondary active or secondary middle ending. Remember your secondary active endings, on, es, e, amen, eta, on. And your secondary middle endings, amen, u, eta, ametha, estha, anta. We'll learn the passive for the first and second aorist together in just a bit. But that's enough to be going on with for now. second aorist, active and middle indicative. Enjoy your Greek.